Hello, everyone. My name is David Ostrander. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a patriot. This past couple of days have been interesting. For one, they tried to censure Ilhan Omar, whatever her name is, for her Charlie Kirk comments. They were not as successful as they were with Jimmy, because Jimmy lost his show. Jimmy Kimmel Live is no longer live, it's dead. Now, most of you that know me are probably expecting me to say, yep, that's what they get. And that's wrong. That's not what I'm going to say. Hillary Clinton is promoting a book that says something about fascists are afraid of teachers and they should be. This a week after Charlie Kirk's murder. Jimmy Kimmel said inappropriate things and lost his livelihood, lost his job. Freedom of speech has consequences. I say that because you can say whatever you want. You can. This is America. You have the freedom of speech to say whatever you want. You want to tell everybody that I'm the worst person on the planet, you can do that. Trust me, I've got people who do. If you want to badmouth the President of the United States, you can do that. It's your constitutional right to do that. Now, what people fail to understand is that while it is a thing to have freedom of speech, it's also a thing to have consequences for what you have to say. Roseanne Barr lost her show, lost her job, and was blacklisted for things she said. But that was okay, because that wasn't somebody from the conservative right that she was attacking. It was the left. So now the left has a separate justification. Two-tiered, as they called it. Two-tiered justice. What's good for the goose isn't always good for the gander. It's okay for Roseanne Barr to lose her livelihood and job, but it's not okay for Jimmy Kimmel to lose his. To be honest, it is a lot to do with what is being said. While you have the freedom of speech, you cannot do certain things, because there are certain things called libel and slander. There are such things as verbal assault or making threats of a personal nature. You cannot threaten the President of the United States on social media and expect to get away with it. And you shouldn't. you should be held accountable for what you had to say. Charlie Kirk had a lot to say, and I agreed with a lot of what he had to say. This is causing division in my home. But I believed in a lot of what he had to say. He paid consequences for his freedom of speech with his life. And that was wrong. Martin Luther King died for his freedom of speech. Assassinated also. Also wrong. Malcolm X, still wrong. JFK, still wrong. I saw somebody the other day that had a bumper sticker that said, democracy means no one is above the law. Technically, those two items have nothing to do with each other. Democracy has nothing to do with people being able to have a two-tiered justice system. What democracy is majority rule, period. There was a beautiful woman who played a part in a Disney TV show called The Mandalorian. She was fired for speaking her mind. And at the time, that was all right with the people in power, which just happened to be our left-leaning, our Democratic-leaning party. But it was okay for her to lose her job. But it's not okay for these teachers to lose their jobs. I'll tell you right now, if my child is being cared for, I don't care if you're a teacher, I don't care if you're a babysitter, I don't care if you're a doctor, a nurse, I don't care if you're a judge or a lawyer. If you're taking care of people, looking out for their best interest, keep your damn mouth shut about promoting violence, promoting murder, or get fired. I agree with that because while I'm all in favor of freedom of speech, I don't want to be on the operating table with a doctor or a surgeon that says, oh, this guy's MAGA? Let him die. Because of his views, I die. Oh! Because of the surgeon's views, perhaps my beautiful bride is getting surgery, and they go, oh, her husband's a conservative, well, let's just let her die. No, not right. Never should a doctor say it's okay for people to murder. Never should a doctor be okay with people dying. A nurse, a doctor, a veterinarian. If you're taking care of anything, anybody, you shouldn't be all right with murder. You shouldn't be all right with assassination. You should not be preaching to the kids in your classroom that he deserved to die. It really upsets me, all the people that have chosen that path, that have chosen to say those things, because that's just evil. Wanting someone dead, joking about it, is one thing. People joke about other people being killed in their lives all the time. But to actively seek out to do harm to others, or to celebrate the destruction of somebody's life is wrong. Now, I said democracy and the no one is above the law thing had nothing to do with each other. Now I'm going to explain that a little bit better. Democracy means majority rules. So, let's say, for example, the two guys, Bill and John, go out and they both commit the same exact crime. I'm talking, they rob a liquor store, they both take the same amount of cash, maybe they both kill the liquor store owner, whatever. Now, neither one of them are above the law, right? Right. But in a democratic society, if Bill can sway more people to his way of thinking, he gets away with it. That's democracy. That is majority rule. Wait a minute, think about it. You convince a jury, a majority of a jury, that you are innocent, you get away with it. That is majority rule. That does not mean they're above the law. That means they're acquitted. I love people. I love my family. I spread joy where I can. I spread humor where I can. I try very hard to be a good person. And my wife and I were just talking about this the other day, and I said, I cannot believe that somebody could celebrate anybody's death. I don't care if it's a celebrity. I don't care if it's a political figure. I don't care who it is. You should never. So Jimmy Carter died not too long ago. Now, by the definition of what's going on right now, I should have probably, because Jimmy was a Democrat, I should probably have, celebrated his death, because I'm a Republican. I did not celebrate Jimmy Carter's death. Robert Redford just died. I did not celebrate Robert Redford's death. My friend Todd Cochran died a couple days before Charlie Kirk. Went to school with Todd. He was a couple years older than me, a year younger than my sister. A good man. We came from a town where your graduating classes were less than 100 people and you knew every one of them. I graduated in a class of, I think 83, in the class of 84 or something like that. So we knew everybody. That means your entire high school had less than 500 people, including faculty. You think about it, you probably know 500 people. So yeah, we knew each other. We knew of each other. Todd, myself. He's a very good man. Very smart man. And I dare say that even though I am not a violent person, if I were to be walking through my hometown and I were to hear somebody mock or celebrate the death of Todd Cochran, I'd probably punch him out. Todd and I weren't close. We knew each other. So I can't even imagine how evil you would have to be to celebrate someone's death. And I told my wife, I can't imagine someone being that evil. I've never in my life celebrated someone's death. My daughter died from a drunk driver when she was 17 and a half years old, almost to the day. They know who did it. I know who did it. One of the hardest things that I've ever had to do in my life was say goodbye to my girl, my 17-year-old daughter. Worst day of my life, worst week of my life. That was in 2002. That means it was quite a few years ago that my daughter was laid to rest. And even to this day, I cannot forgive the man who took her life. But if anything were to happen to him, may the heavens forgive, I would hope for his family to not have to suffer. I would not celebrate his death. Because I'm not an evil person. So if you think for a moment that you have the right to call yourself a good person, look inside. Jesus said, love one another. And I agree with him. Jesus had a lot of good advice that people could live by. That's why I try and spread it without shoving it down people's throat. If somebody comes to me and wants to talk, I'll talk to them. This is not the platform for that. So I want to thank you all for listening, tuning in, as they say. I want to send out my dearest condolences. I feel very bad for the loss of all of those people who have died over the past couple of weeks. And I hope that their families, their loved ones, find peace in their hearts. I love you all. Try to love one another. Till next time.